Good night, and welcome to Mindful Live 531. I am your host, your co-host, Nathan Springer, joined tonight by the beautiful host. What's your name, host? Leora. Lovely. And we're still talking geopolitical issues. Tell the people, yo, what's up? Not telling the people, yo. Yeah, we're still talking geopolitical issues. And that is amongst or alongside cutting all gas deals. All gas deals would be cut. We cuckoo overcooking right now. Torlis says that you said cuckoo. The statement is cuckoo. We cuckoo. They want your cuckoo to roast. That's good. We don't want the cuckoo to overcook. And well, maybe our cuckoo is overcooking. But I'm not necessarily sure about that. I'm not necessarily sure about that cuckoo being cooked necessarily. Because as I was asking since last night, my question is, what gas deals are we currently what gas are we currently getting? Not the possible deals, not the possible deals in the pipeline, but the actual resources that have been changing hands. What are we actually getting? When Venezuela says that they're cutting these gas lines, what are they cutting? Are they cutting the prospect of future gas? Or are they cutting things that are currently filling our coffers? What you doing? You plaiting your hair? Are they cutting current money streams? Or is it just a case of shutting down the future? They said all, Sheldon Williams said. Well, what is all? That's what I'm asking. What are we currently getting from Venezuela? Are we currently receiving gas from Venezuela? Good night, Daniela. Tell the people good night, ladies.
Good night, ladies.
Yeah. So, hi to Richard. Tara Boy says nothing yet. Good night, Indy B-San. Well, that's my question, Tara Boy. Because if it's nothing yet, then what you're cutting is hopes and dreams. What you're cutting is hopes and dreams. We aren't actually getting any Venezuelan gas yet. We aren't actually getting any Venezuelan gas yet. So what are they talking about cutting? And if you're talking about cutting things into the future, then bear in mind also that the future of the current Venezuelan administration is not a very concretized thing. There's quite a bit of possibility that there isn't much future. Sir, ma'am, I will block you. We don't do that here. I know there are other fields, but I'm asking, even in that Coconia or however you pronounce those, all those other fields, are we currently getting anything? As far as I have read, as far as I know, none of those are on stream yet. Maybe I'm wrong. That's a very high possibility. I don't know. I'm not in the oil and gas sector like that. So, I don't know. Is that any current money? Maduro cuts gas lines. Venezuela president suspends energy deals. No energy deals with Trinidad and Tobago. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro last night confirmed the suspension of gas agreements with Trinidad and Tobago, saying this was due to the recent hostile actions taken by the Prime Minister. The PM says, "Nobody will pressure us. The last government mistakenly placed all their hopes in the Dragon project. We have not done so. Therefore, we're not susceptible to any blackmail from the Venezuelans for political support." She said TNT's future does not depend on Venezuela and never has. Added that plans are underway for economic growth within the energy and non-energy sectors. She said no one, be it the Venezuelan government, CARICOM, or any other entity, will pressure or blackmail my government into retreating from the fight against the drug cartels. I am tired of seeing our citizens murdered and terrorized because of gang violence, driven by illegal drugs and arms trafficking. TNT citizens' safety and happiness is my main concern, she says. We continue to maintain peaceful relations with the Venezuelan people. Hi. But listen to this. Listen to this. Thoughts on the government involvement with the students in Jamaica. We could talk about that a bit after. Listen to this piece, because I think this is a very important piece. UNC sources last evening said since 2020, the Trump administration had agreed to conduct business with PDVSA after then opposition leader Juan Guaido appointed Horacio Francisco Medina Herrera president of the ad hoc PDVSA board. Therefore, if the Maduro regime refuses to deal with TNT on the Dragon gas deal, there are other avenues for dialogue and licensing. And as I said this from the jump, that could very well be the play. That they're looking beyond the Maduro regime, seeing that it's a given that this regime is going to fall. And if you are in good with the future regime before they are even there, then gas deals could be quite sure. The thing with that is you are playing a chancy game, you are playing a game of chance. Things have to work out in your favor, which isn't a given. I don't think it's a given that the Maduro regime is going to fall. But Trump is a flip-flopper. Well, I said this last night. I made this point last night. And the man makes nearly a prideful point of saying that. He makes a prideful point of saying that he's a deal maker. He can make deals with someone who was his enemy yesterday, and he makes a deal with them today, and they're all along happily going. So if you are depending on him to remain enemies with someone, that mightn't be an assured thing. I made the point yesterday also that Maduro is not insulting Trump. We're going to see that even further today. Oh, Dream Chaser, we're going to even further see that today, that Maduro isn't insulting Trump. That the reason for that, to me, seems pretty clear and obvious, that he is attempting to still make a deal with Trump. And Trump, being the deal maker he is, being Mr. Art of the Deal, priding himself in being able to make those deals, I don't think it's impossible for Maduro to offer Trump something that he would go at. And should Venezuela be able to offer a very lucrative deal for the present administration, what then would be our position? Maduro supporters, Danny says, would not support that if he is removed unceremoniously. I don't think Maduro supporters would do anything, because I am unsure how much support he actually has. I don't know how much Maduro supporters there are in Venezuela. All Maduro supporters are really just proxy Chavez supporters laid over. I don't think he has a cult of personality following him. Trinidad should have done like Guyana and mind their business. Guyana didn't mind their business. Guyana just did, they spoke diplomatically. They spoke yes, I saw that. Trump said that Maduro offered everything. I don't believe he offered everything. Obviously, otherwise Trump would have taken it. But yeah, Guyana didn't mind their own business. Guyana isn't neutral in this. Guyana has voiced support for the United States. Guyana is in actual battle with Venezuela over real matters such as 2/3 of their landmass. But Guyana, I think, did the diplomacy better. They spoke better. There wasn't all the kill them all violently talk, which I think, and I said this last night, I think that's our main issue. Our main issue wasn't taking the United States side because, who were we expected really to take Venezuela's side? I don't think so. But I think the issue is the diplomacy surrounding it. That we made unnecessarily aggressive movements. Remember, we had a person sitting in parliament talking about nuking our neighbors, you know. What? It was the diplomacy. I don't think any other government would have moved more hands off with the United States than we are currently. I don't think there was a government that could have come into power in Trinidad and Tobago that was going to tell the United States, no, you can't bring USS Gravely and dock it in Trinidad. I don't think any Trinidad government was going to refuse the United States. It's just the reality of the situation we live in. It's the reality of the position we are in. The reason why countries like us and Barbados with Miss Motley, they love to talk about the United Nations and dialogue and talk. Because in dialogue and talk, we are all equal. All of us could sit around a table and discuss and have dialogue and all feel like equals. But if it gets to the bombing and the killing and the, kinetic warfare, then we aren't all equals. We know how this goes. We have no say in the matter. Like, realistically, no Caribbean territory has any say in the violence of the situation because we can't do anything one way or the other. If Maduro wants to prove a point, what will he do? Prove a point to who and in what way? I think, and I've seen some people suggest it, I think it will be spectacularly foolish of Venezuela to do any kind of physical attack on Trinidad. That is not to say that I think it is impossible that Trinidad is at any kind of risk. I just don't think that Venezuela is going to out and out attack Trinidad and Tobago. I don't think that's in their best interest. Even if the US were to launch a missile from Trinidad territory into Venezuela, the moment Venezuela retaliates, I hope none of this happens. I'm talking in the hypothetical. The moment Venezuela retaliates and citizens, innocent civilians begin losing their life, they're going to lose the PR campaign on that. They're going to lose the PR campaign. Look at Israel. Yes, Hamas attacked Israel, but the response was where the PR was won and lost. You wouldn't get a good PR showing killing innocent civilians. That's just the reality. And I think Venezuela is very aware, being of that left-wing swing, being of that socialist mindset, I think they are very aware of the propaganda issues surrounding this. This persona non grata business, that's propaganda. Venezuela moves to declare PM persona non grata. The National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela is expected to debate declaring Prime Minister Camilo Posad as a persona non grata, basically an uninvited person. You are not welcomed in our country. But this is really a symbolic thing. This is symbolism. This is part of the propaganda battle they are fighting. They are putting out constant media in this whole discussion. Constantly. The Venezuelans are in the media more than our Prime Minister, more than the US in relation to Venezuela, more than anyone else. The Venezuelans are constantly in front of the media. They are constantly there. And why are they constantly there? For this reason. It's propaganda. Who cares? Persona non grata, what's that? It's making another point and another step and putting another place in front. No gas. What gas, Nigel Narain? What gas? If indeed there's no current stream coming in, and we're talking about what we can work on in the future, and then what we are looking at currently is the possibility of regime change, then what gas is the current regime controlling? Easy, Jai. Easy. You get black. Why not Trump? PM challenges Venezuela after non-grata declaration. Prime Minister Camilo Posad said she is not daunted by the Venezuelan National Assembly's move to declare her persona non grata. She further questioned why Venezuelan officials were attempting to bully her and remained silent on United States President Donald Trump, as she pointed out that the US gravely is an American ship and the armada of military and navy presence in the region are United States forces working against the narco traffickers and drug cartels. In response to questions from the Express, the PM responded, "I'm not daunted by this at all. This just continues their pattern of bullying behavior against their neighbors. Those warships are American property. Why isn't the Venezuelan government calling President Trump's name? Why aren't they making declarations of persona non grata against him? The answer is obvious. My government will continue supporting drug interdiction exercises in international waters." And I think our Prime Minister is current. They're not going to regime change, they're going to force Maduro out. That's why Wagner there. Forcing Maduro out is regime change. And who is Wagner there on behalf of? But yes, I think the Prime Minister is correct here. Because what she's saying is, why aren't they calling Donald Trump persona non grata when he is the leader of what is happening against them? Why aren't they calling him that? Well, it's for the reason I said. Maduro looks like he still wants to make a deal with Trump. Because the ships should not be in our waters. What does that have to do with persona non grata? Stick with the point. The point. Nigel Narain, we are going to feel what? Mr. Mohib says Venezuela has a militant and violent history. We should not have been so vocal. This is messed up. I don't think we should have been so vocal either. But what does Venezuela's militant history have to do with it? Bigger fish eat smaller fish, that's true. They're trying fair tactics to our citizens. I don't think they're trying fair tactics to our citizens. I don't think the Venezuelans are attempting to scare the Trinidadians per se. I think they are trying to get the Trinidadians to be very angry with our current leadership. Everything that Venezuela puts out basically sends the idea that we are brethren with the Trinidadian people, but the new Trinidadian leadership is crazy and attempting to sell out Trinidad to the United States. That's basically the narrative that the Venezuelans are putting out. We are their neighbors, we are asking for help from them, and then turn around to bite them. What help are we asking for from them? What help are we asking for? When have we asked for help? What are you talking about? Danny says the vex that TNT is allowing their country to be used as a staging area for US intervention. I know what they are vexed about. But that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the narrative that they are sending out there. I know what they are vexed about. And I don't think they are really vexed about Trinidad being used as a staging area. I think they are vexed about the vocal support that Trinidad... We need what deal badly? What deal do we need badly? I think what they are most vexed about is the vocal support. I don't think they could be vexed about the staging area issues, because the United States doesn't need to use Trinidad to attack Venezuela. Trinidad is not essential for a US plan to attack Venezuela. We aren't needed. What they are angry about is the support vocally that Trinidad is giving to the United States. And that matters, because what we see, look at the Palestine conflict. Sorry. Look at the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and what you see is a lot of modern conflicts are fought on the media. A lot of modern conflicts are fought in the media. So if Trinidad was vocally anti what the United States was doing, and the entire region could have put forward a united media front against the United States, then Venezuela would have been in a much more secure position. But as it stands, with very vocal support from the closest neighbors to Venezuela, it gives the United States a plausible reason for doing what they're doing. And I think that is what Venezuela is most angry about. They aren't angry about the staging, using Trinidad as a staging mount for attacks on Venezuela. That doesn't matter. Do Trinidadians know we have no oil in the ground? Like, none. That's not true. That is blatantly untrue. But even if we had no oil in the ground, that still doesn't mean we need to borrow from Venezuela. Mitch says, look, Guyana have nothing to say. Why didn't our Prime Minister take note and shut up? I am kind of in agreement with that. But again, I see, if you look at what Guyana said, Guyana didn't say nothing. Guyana didn't say nothing. They just were diplomatic. They supported basically the US intervention, but allowing the US to do what they have to do without them giving a ball by ball cheering commentary. And the thing is, Guyana has more just cause to be bumping their gum in this situation than Trinidad and Tobago. My guess, the only way I think this makes full sense, the only way I make full sense of this to me, is if the case is that what our Prime Minister is playing for is the long game. Our Prime Minister is playing for the long game and is intending that there is going to be a regime change, and because she was so much of a vocal out there supporter, that the repayment would be grand. And listen, it will be interesting if if it is that this all works out in Kams's benefit, if next year, mid next year, a new regime is in charge in Venezuela, and deals are passing this side, left, right, and center, it would be very interesting to see what the naysayers would say then. My problem with it is I think it's a big gamble. I understand the possibility of it working out, but I think it's a massive gamble. And I think, personally, I am nobody's prime minister, so it's not up to me. But my thought is that I think we could have gotten the same outcome with much less risky talk. That's what I think. I think that outcome, even if it is successful, we could have gotten that without the risky talk. America cares about America's interests only? Yes, but it is widely known that American interests and your interests could overlap. And if that's the case, then wonderful for you. So if you are a snake and a regime change, you really think they will do business with us? Yes. What do you think? What do you think global politics is? Listen, there are people who murdered the previous ruler in order to get into the position, and the world welcomes them in. Enigma boss says America have not given us no air defense system, there are no bomb shelter, we are sitting ducks. What foolishness are you talking, Enigma boss? I said this already. The worst possible decision that Venezuela could make is attacking Trinidad and Tobago. Regardless of what the United States does, the worst decision they can make is attacking Trinidad and Tobago. And it's actually in Trinidad and Tobago's interest to not over-militarize. If we put air defenses down in Caroni Swamp or something and start building bomb shelters, then we are basically broadcasting to the world that we are a military target. As it stands right now, the one US warship in our waters has a batch of school children on it every day. If, God forbid, you attack a US warship, but it's one of their older warships, and you hit it while it's on a field trip with children from the Caribbean, beautiful, diverse children, when you see a picture of that class is all shades, you know how that's going to go across on global news? The United States would have full permission to do whatever they want with you. So, no, I don't think we should be looking for air defense and bomb shelters. And I don't think they would help. We can't go to Veni. You wanted to go to Veni? You were very interested in going across to Venezuela? Are you one of those fishermen that regularly makes the fishing trips over to Venezuela and back? Do you go catch those fishes over in the mainland and bring them over here? I mean, people saying people are fishermen and they on submarine filled with barrels of unknown substances. I mean, all right. So, but yeah, I don't think it would be in Venezuela's best interest, and I think they know that. Venezuela is playing the propaganda game also. I don't think Venezuela wants to have to do any kind of attacking. I don't think Venezuela wants to do any kind of attacking. They really don't want that. Actually, what Venezuela repeatedly is paranoid about right now, at least what they're putting out there, is they're worried about a false flag. What is a false flag? A false flag is when a country attacks itself, a military attacks itself, to give themselves what they call, oh gosh, what they call the reason for war again. There's a specific term they call that, but to give themselves a reason to go to war, casus belli, right? To give themselves a casus belli, they attack themselves. That's what a false flag is. The thing is, the United States is not a country that is innocent of such allegations. It is now known, as a matter of fact, that the US has done such before. And it's suspected that they may have done it quite a few times, actually. So, what Venezuela keeps putting out there is that the US is attempting to stage a false flag attack. Basically, Sheldon Dogode, who take out insurance, the Dogo, how building 7 Dogo Day. Let me stay away from that. Let me stay away from that. But yeah, the false flag worry. And what that tells me is what Venezuela is really worried about. If they're worried about a false flag, they are worried actually about US property getting damaged in such a way that the US has a right to attack. That is quite clearly a worry on the Venezuelans' mind. That's quite clearly a worry. They don't want that. America promised Ukraine safety. Look at them today. What would happen if China and Russia joins up with Venezuela? I think they will not do something like that. It's just not in their best interest. All these countries have their own personal interests, you know. All these countries have their own personal interests. China will more likely will be more ready to take an opportunity of US being distracted to take Taiwan than to come all the way around the world to help Venezuela for what? Russia is currently struggling to finish off Ukraine. That Russian mission was supposed to be 2 weeks. 2 weeks. But isn't China heavily invested in Venezuela? Yeah. But I don't think they're invested to the level where they would risk losing manpower and machinery over Venezuela. I think the United States would love, the US military minds would love if China and Russia begin just pumping military assets into Venezuela, into a black hole that's just going to eat it up. You know that's what they're doing in Ukraine too, right? They aren't hiding that. You listen to some of these military officials, and they basically say that's what they're doing. They're grinding down Russia's military strength. And unfortunately using Ukraine to do just that. You think they wouldn't love to do that with Venezuela too? You think they wouldn't love if China shipped containers filled with drones and deplete their drone supply to help Venezuela? They would love that. They would love that. I wouldn't, but I think that the United States would. They wouldn't mind that. I find too that some of the talk of the strength of China and Russia, etc., seems a bit like wishful thinking sometimes. Like people that really don't like the United States and they would like the United States to be taken down a peg or two. They wish that Russia and China was strong enough to do that. To me, as the evidence looks, it doesn't seem like they are. So, that's that. That's all I have for now, folks. That's all I have for now. Let's call that a quick evening there. We had a late start. I'll be here again tomorrow. You know, we're trying to make sure we getting the nightly lives back, even though we started a little late and with the hiccups and stuff. We out here. I hope they're listening to Randy. I hope they're listening. So make sure you're following. If you aren't following, be subscribed over there on YouTube, Nathan Springer on YouTube. If you aren't there, run over to Nathan Springer over on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Be sure to subscribe. All of the lives can be caught. Appreciated, Mr. Danny, is it? Appreciated, sir. What time, Taro Boy? Here now, the original live time, to be honest with you, supposed to be 9 o'clock. Then it reached 9:30. Today I came on something like 10:30 something. I blame in maturing, boy. I blame in maturing. Maturing and them, boy. You see, I did a video, short video, as in short videos, 1 per day for like 2 years. Easy. And while I was doing those videos, I was doing live content every night. And all of my stuff is informative, so you have to read up on all of that for that. One child came, well, you know, had a little slowdown. See, 2? Yeah. 2 is that magic number. Yes, boy, Randy, boy, I have 2 wonderful daughters, 2 lovely, lovely daughters. All right, I'm out, people. Hold on. I hope you're educated, informed, and entertained. This was the Mindful Life. I am Nathan Springer. Thank you, Nigel. All right, that's appreciated. I'm out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Please, God. Until then, peace. Bye. I'm supposed to be back in Trinidad and get stuck in. Oh gosh, we didn't talk about that. I feel we'll have to discuss that tomorrow. That hurricane business, because who's telling the truth? It's obvious that somebody ain't telling the whole truth on that hurricane and the students.